Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. We're going to give it a few minutes to allow everybody to get into the room here, maybe 1 minute. So stand by. People are connecting the audio. And the room is still filling, so stand by. All right, we'll get started in just a few more seconds. Okay, it looks like we're starting to top out here. All right. Says the volume's a little low, Justin. All right. Well, I don't know how to pump up the volume on my microphone, so maybe your speakers, I don't know. But anyways, looks like we have a good number of folks here. Let's go ahead and get started. A lot of material to cover. First of all, introductions. As you can see on the screen, my name is Chris DeRozier, and I'm the director here at Tech Data for Security Solutions Business Development. So today we are going to talk about how to sell security and some of the basics. So I expect in the audience today, we'll probably have a few different types of folks that are signing up to take this webinar. One will be just kind of genuine, folks that are new to selling security, really looking for a framework and an approach. The other one is going to be the curious veterans, right? What is this all about? I've been selling for a decade. How can I get some golden nuggets out of this? And hopefully I'll be able to provide a few of those nuggets for you as well and keep it interesting. This webinar is designed for new sellers. And as I mentioned before, it will offer a bit of a framework and a plan to engage and learn about security, as well as how to approach your clients and talk about security. So with that as the pretext, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I wanted to do is just kind of lay the groundwork. Everybody knows that security is an important part of technology and where we're at, right? But what's happening is there's been a significant change in the workforce dynamics. Everybody knows this, but I wanted to call out in terms of setting the table a little bit some of the more important aspects. So pre-COVID, employees were obviously working at the office, and then the lockdown happens. But what's interesting is at least, so Canalys down in the corner there, they actually estimated that a third of all workers worked from home in 2020. And if you think about office workers, which is many in our industry, that's more likely 90 to 100%. But workers in retail and manufacturing, healthcare, hospitality, they either continued to go to the office or the workplace or just discontinued work altogether. So as we enter the next phase, the vaccine is coming out. What's going to happen is, at least according to Canalys, about 20% of the remote-only workers will return to the office full time. And that really means about 80% will still be remote, right? Working from home. So when it's all said and done, they think that 2 times to 4 times the number of workers before the pandemic will remain working remote. So it's quite a bit of remote work that will still be taking place. And what happens is, security breaches as a result of this have skyrocketed. Now, this is based on their research, but it's actually public information. So if you look at the number of personally identifiable breaches, we're seeing upwards of, I think it was 12 billion records that were released just in the first 9 months of last year. And that was about 183 breaches. So first 9 months of last year, 183 breaches, 12 billion records. So what this does is it indicates that this work from home, this pandemic, has created a significant windfall for the bad guys, the bad actors out there. So what I'm trying to illustrate to you is that this is a significant opportunity if you are interested in selling security. As a matter of fact, the opportunity has been quantified by IDC. You can see there in their black book forecast for IT spend not too long ago in October. It's a $12 billion opportunity this year, and that represents a significant growth over the previous year, 2020. So great opportunity right now. Now, so if all of this looks amazing, the next question you might be asking yourself is, how do I capitalize on that? So what I want to do is kind of go over, an approach to selling security that you might want to consider as a field rep or a security leader at your company, your channel partner company. So assuming you're just getting started in security, you want to understand the language of security. Security has its own language, lots of three-letter acronyms. I like to call them TLAs, wink, wink. So lots of three-letter acronyms, four-letter acronyms, and it's important that you understand the fundamentals behind that. So we're going to talk about that. Why cybersecurity is different, what's this, difference around the sales approach, some of the challenges that are out there for your customers. Compliance will be discussed quite a bit, and listening for that, understanding what those compliances are, the big ones at least, asking the right questions and asking the right questions to the right types of people. There's different decision makers and influencers in your account. So there's a strategy behind that. And then of course, the security call campaigns, the out calls to prospects, whether it's a cold call, a warm call, a LinkedIn call, whatever it may be. I'm going to offer some guidance on what to ask about and what to say. And then lastly, is the tip of the spear when it comes to starting a security conversation. And this is the idea of a security assessment. And what I think I can do is kind of help you with all of these. Tech Data can help you with all of these where you may not have those resources. So let's explore this a little bit further, and we'll go ahead and advance it. All right, so the first things first, and I'm going to ask my colleague and associate Odessa in a moment to put these into the chat box, these links that you see on the screen. But let me describe to you what you're seeing here. So Tech Data has invested in creating very simple, short videos that new security sellers can consume that are kind of broken down into a university format, right? The 100 series and the 200 series. And what they are, they're short little, 10 to 15 minute videos that help you to understand the basic language of security. What is DLP? What is SIM? What is, MDR, right? What are these acronyms? And so what we've done is we've placed these video modules on Level Up. Now, Level Up is available at levelup.techdata.com. Now, if you think about Level Up and Tech Data, what is that? That's the partner portal that we make available to our Tech Data partners, right? And it's where a lot of information like this is stored, right? Analytics, IoT, cloud. It's very much partner facing and geared for you. So it's kind of behind the public website, and geared for partners. It helps you to navigate Tech Data a little better. So take a look at levelup.techdata.com. You'll see there's a sign up process. If you don't have an account, go ahead and hit that link and sign up. I think they take 12 to 24, maybe a couple of days to get back to you. So check that out and take those courses. They're in the security section. You'll be able to just navigate, click security, and take those courses. So it's an investment on your part, but I think it'll help you to kind of understand the fundamentals. So what's different about cybersecurity? Obviously, it's intended to keep the bad guys out, constrain or limit cybersecurity criminals. And the thing you may not know about criminals is they're super organized. They have org charts, customer service, shopping carts, Amazon, click, add it to the shopping cart, chat rooms to discuss attacks and the tools they build. And that's just the criminals, right? I'm not even talking about nation states or even other organizations that are even more organized. So this is beyond a cottage industry. This is worldwide industrial class organization. And they are, as you saw earlier, extremely successful at it. So this creates a a war, and it's a war that you can help defend against. So there's kind of a moral imperative here as well. They used a part of the internet referred to as the dark web. So all of us are used to going to Google and Amazon and Uber and all the rest of the internet. But there's a section of the internet called the dark web, and this is a parallel network. It's often known as Tor or the Onion router network. And this is where these guys all work and collaborate and set up websites and chat rooms and pay each other with Bitcoin. And they don't even know each other, but they're highly organized. You've got hacktivists, a lot of different folks. They specialize in different attacks. Maybe one guy likes to do SQL injection compromises, a team at least. Another team might focus on a different area of a compromise. So very organized. They'll get into a network and sell time to another set of bad guys. Even when the technicians at your customers think they fixed it, the fact that they're even in there is an indication of alarm, and they should take it seriously. So something to be aware of. It is different, and it is there is some nuance there. The security sales approach. It is a different sale. Like if you have been selling, data center and wireless and IoT and some of the technologies that have been around for a while. It's different. And selling security is similar to selling insurance. It's different because when you're selling infrastructure and apps and wireless, it's all about productivity and return on investment. And like insurance for your home or car, it's really hard to say that there's a return on that monthly premium spend. And security is similar to that. So what happens is the industry and folks like me rely on scare tactics in order to say, you're going to get broken into, you're going to get ripped off, you're going to get stolen. Here's all the stats and figures around that. And nobody in my mind has been able to figure out a different way to go around that. But it is like selling insurance. So one of the things you can do to kind of help justify that insurance sale is research before the call. And I've got a whole section I want to talk about that. Boy, I got to get moving here. That talks about that. So we'll get to that in just a moment. So, starting security conversations with showing awareness, don't offer the solution, the product, the blinking lights. You want to kind of take a step back and talk at a higher level. And I'll give some guidance on that in just a moment. So the other thing you want to do in your research is when you're about to interact with a partner or a customer for the first time, make sure that you're understanding their regulatory agencies that they may be subject to. There's a lot of fines associated with non-compliance. A lot of opportunity comes out of the compliances that require risk assessments and vulnerability scans. Many of these compliances require that on a quarterly basis. So you're almost obligated to go back every 90 days and ask them about these ongoing services. Companies are definitely concerned about their gaps in security, many for the same reasons I just stipulated a few seconds ago. And then compliance does not equal security. There are a lot of customers of yours out there that are suggesting and lulling themselves into thinking that, yeah, I'm compliant. I've followed the letter of the law. But when you misconfigure an Amazon web server, it's a misconfiguration. It's a human error, which means you're still not secure and subject to compromise. And so there's a little bit of looking under the hood when it comes to that. So for compliance, these are the big ones that are out there. PCI is, think of retail, right? Target, Walgreens, Walmart, anybody that's processing credit cards and storing that information is subject to that. Now that means there's an opportunity for compliance consulting as well. So HIPAA for healthcare, Sarbanes-Oxley for publicly traded companies, GLBA for financial institutions. NERC-CIP is the critical infrastructure compliance. So you want to be thinking about nuclear power plants and electric utilities. And then NIST, of course, is not necessarily compliance. It's more of a security framework. But these are some of the top things that are most popular. Unfortunately, there's a lot more compliance and frameworks out there to be aware of, but it's probably worth it to research a little bit about these. Now at the bottom, you'll note how serious our national and state governments are taking cybersecurity. At least 38 states last year were introducing or considering 280 bills. Now, not all of them are going to pass, of course, but what that indicates with this record number of bills and legislation is that things are changing. And so it's going to create more controls and compliance for your customers, which essentially creates more opportunity for you. So this next piece kind of comes up with the idea of, who are you talking to at each of these individual accounts, and what are their specific concerns? Because there's different audiences. So, one of the easy ones is what keeps you up at night about your security fears, right? Open-ended question helps to kind of open the dialogue. Ask them if they know if they are under compliance or any regulatory concerns, and if they know they're out of specification on that, and how you might be able to help with that. And then the other piece about selling security is ultimately it's about protecting what's important. If you think about security personally in your home, you're protecting your family, right? You're protecting your jewelry and your valuables and your furniture and a calm home from bad people. And it's about what's important ultimately. And so I think those kind of open-ended parallels work when you talk to your customers about what is important to them. What is that data? Where does it live? And how do they have an inventory of that data? So those are important. And as you consider talking to different folks, right, at your decision makers, at your customers, there's going to be different kind of ideas about security. And you can see on the screen, your executives are concerned around risk across the business, protecting the brand, the public image, meeting compliance. Do I have the right people in place? Have I bought the right technology? So those kind of broad, open-ended, bigger issues are how you're going to want to speak to them. IT directors and managers are going to be concerned about continuing the workflow, making sure people can do what they need to do with their day-to-day business operations and how things may or may not impact them. So pretty important there. And then your service technicians, they're going to be more concerned about, fixing the ticket, closing the ticket, moving on to the next problem. So kind of the director and the manager and the technicians, they're not going to be as concerned about security as far as the overall strategy, and they're going to be concerned about how the rubber hits the road and how it affects users. So I think your best bet is to have that conversation with the C-level, but of course you need to be prepared, and hopefully I can help you guide you through that with some additional information we're going to go through. So the next thing is, how do I prepare, right? What can I say? What's the line of questioning that I might offer these customer engagements? And so I'm going to share with you some details on it and offer you a way to take advantage of that through the support of Tech Data. I've got a whole team that can help you participate in that. So the first one is you want to prepare for the security call, of course, right? There is a campaign process. What is the goal of the campaign, right? I know you want to sell stuff. Everybody wants to sell stuff, but I think there needs to be some tactical goals, from A to B to kind of move through this process. And then the call scripts itself, right? The line of questioning. I'll flash that on the screen. I'll make it available to you for those that are interested and show you how to get a hold of that. So preparing for the sales call. Talk about cybersecurity in general terms, similar to the way that I'm doing it right now. We talked about compliance. We talked about, what happens if you're out of compliance. There's this idea of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I don't think that's a bad thing when it comes to cybersecurity, for sure. Be prepared with industry articles relative to your client. So you'll want to be looking for industry articles that are similar in type to the firms that you're about to talk to. And I'll show you where to go for that. Research is important, building upon that conversation, understanding and getting the customer to share their views and concerns. Now here's a nugget for what I'm hoping might be the vets on the call. And maybe you do this, maybe not, But when I was in your shoes and I was selling directly to end users, which I've done for a couple of decades, one of the things I would do for enterprise, larger accounts that were public companies, is I would always go to the Security Exchange Commission website and I would look at their quarterly filings. I think it's called a 10Q report, but you can look at their annual filings and their quarterly filings. Well, typically in there, the companies will provide a narrative of what the market forecast looks like for their business, and sometimes they will talk about cybersecurity. And if you can generate a solution or tie a conversation, a line of questioning around their own statements to say what I offer you helps you to get that done, that is one way to go about it, right? And it really kind of holds them accountable for where they say they want to be. Same thing for the educational space. Budgets and city council meeting minutes are often published. And I know you SLED veterans out there already know this, but since this is designed for newbies, that might be a great way to kind of figure out talking points about solving that issue. So resources to stay concurrent. I guess I should have done this, thought it would flash all at once. There's a ton of resources, and I just want to call out, and I think this is part of when we go back to the very beginning about understanding the language of security. You'll probably need to spend a little bit of time understanding and bookmarking your favorite security websites. And I want to get you started with just a few kind of quickies, right? Data Breach Today at the top left there, that's one of my favorites. Data Breach Today is just like it sounds. There's a breach every day. Every single day there's a breach. Databreachtoday.com talks about data breaches, kind of maybe, either talks about that it happened or it's been a while and they figure out the root cause and how the bad guys got in. So this gives you credibility, right? If you're able to kind of connect any of these stories to your prospect, it gives you credibility. Also, you can see there's a ton of Twitter subject matter experts that I recommend where you sign up, take a look at what they're talking about, because as these little news feeds come into your feed, you're then able to have these conversations with prospects and clients by simply just relaying the fact that you're interested in it and being perceived as a subject matter expert. Flipboard is a great summary service. Owler is a great company research service. And then, of course, Tech Data, we have our own cyber range, right? A brick and mortar facility built for training that you can use. And I would ask you to go to cyberrange.techdata.com to learn all about it. Click on About Us, I think, and you'll see like a guided tour from our VP here at Tech Data. So this is something you guys can bring customers to, have events and conferences, summits, even participate and consume some training there as well. So lots of different resources. So then there's this last piece here, and I'm coming up on 23 minutes. I got about 7 minutes to go, and then we'll take some Q&A. So remember to put your questions into the Q&A box, and I'll take some questions at the end there. So call sales campaign process, right? So there is a script. You can get the script. Know your prospect's role, use the appropriate approach, customize your script to fit your natural flow. Now, the script is great when you don't know what you're doing, right? It's like, hey, I'm just going to go through and figure out what I need to ask next. But ultimately, if you do it a few times, maybe you practice a role play with your manager. If you do it a few times, you're going to have your own natural flow, right? So, but we're going to offer you something to get you started. And the next piece is offer a security assessment. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, how do I do that? We don't do that today. The good news is Tech Data does, and I'll tell you about what that looks like in just a minute. And I think that'll be really helpful. All right, so the call campaign process continued. It's all about having a conversation. Your first job is just having a conversation, gathering intelligence, make sure you know who you're talking to, which level, and you've got your talking points. The next part is sell the next appointment with a security expert, an assessment, and I'm going to talk about that in more detail in just a moment. The assessment is really just a conversation around security controls and policies and compliance, that your customer may know or may not know, and depending on how they answer that assessment, that could provide will eventually provide a report on your behalf that you can then continue that conversation with them to develop security projects, things along those lines. If the customer's resistant to having an assessment, maybe they're just not comfortable answering the question, we don't have a firewall, right? I don't have endpoint protection. Then just maybe sell an appointment with a security expert, just somebody to kind of talk about it in general terms, as opposed to something a little more formal. Assessments can be sometimes no cost or low cost, but regardless, they are high value. And I'll kind of illustrate that in just a moment. So you can ask my team for an example of a report of what it looks like. And there's a grade and some recommendations about what to do next. So some really great tips here about the sales campaign process and what you're trying to get out of it. So the ultimate goal, as I mentioned, is to deliver a security assessment. And the way that Tech Data thinks about security assessments is kind of conversational assessment and a technical assessment. Now, a technical assessment includes ethical hackers and tools and software and skulking around on the internet and trying to break in or trying to determine the vulnerabilities. Those are typically fee-based, right? And that's what a lot of the industry does, is these technical assessments. Vulnerability assessment comes first, and then a penetration test comes second, typically. You can have more sophisticated assessments like risk assessments, which are kind of interviewing the whole business. But a conversational assessment is a little different. And I kind of detail it below. We're simply asking questions. Do you have a firewall? Yes or no, right? Do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have a policy that everybody knows about? They provide verbal answers, so it's just a conversation. At the end of that, we produce a report and we send the report to you, right? And then you can put your logo on it and whatever you want to do and send that to your customer. What's nice is that report becomes a roadmap for salespeople, because you can continue to stick to your client and say, hey, we've already identified you've got these 6 things that are awesome. These other 10 things are not so good and they're prioritized, right? So how do we go about it? Now, the assessments can be free assessments, and sometimes you're just trying to build credibility and get your foot in the door, and you get what you pay for, right? Is there no skin in the game with your customer? A lot of people do free assessments, right? The other idea is maybe you consume an assessment from Tech Data. We do it with you, for you. You charge your customer a small fee, and then you offer them a credit toward a future purchase. And I just randomly chose minimum $25,000 project, right? So that's another idea. And there's probably even more ideas about how to position these assessments, but assessments are important. All right, so let me just pop out of here real quick and show you what that assessment looks like. So, or the call script, right? Getting back to the call script. You've done your preparation, right? You're at, you've figured out, you've modified this to suit your particular target. You're asking some open-ended questions about, the needs and discovery piece, right? This is before you get to the assessment. You're just trying to create linkage to that client to get them to open up about what they know and what they don't know about their own security. Things like, is your senior leadership committed? Maybe you're talking to the senior leadership and you say, are you committed, right? So you're welcome to modify this. I've got, some links here. There's my data breach today. Cybersecurity Ventures is a great research site. Different ways to go about it. We've got some suggestions here, and then a call to action, which is really mostly revolving around assessments, compliance frameworks, things along those lines. So this is the call script. We're happy to share it with you, but you gotta do something first, and that is you've got to reach out to my team, right, to be able to get a hold of this. So let me just jump right back into presentation mode. So what this means for you as a solution provider is, it's assumed that not everybody knows where to start, right? Your customers don't know where to start, and they're looking. The market is so vast. There are so many confused clients out there that they're looking for somebody to provide guidance and solutions. They want trusted advisors, and there's definitely a path to success and security for your customers. Now, for you, and I think I've got, yeah, we're right at the bottom of the hour here, but we've got about 15 minutes. We'll get to some Q&A in just a moment here. But I want to point out just two more things, and then I'll allow you to see some contact information about how to get some of these resources. So if you have not heard, Tech Data has built basically a learning management system, a program, whatever you want to call it. And we call it the Digital Security Practice Builder Program. For a number of years, I've run a team of security consultants that have helped select partners build security businesses. So last year, we took all of that intellectual property and we digitized it and made it available to all of our Tech Data customers, right? All of our partners. And you can see at the bottom there is the URL. It says practicebuilder.techdata.com/security. Now in there is a way to build a security business. It covers strategy. It covers vendor enablement, best practices around marketing, best practices around services, because one of the things that Tech Data offers is a very strong security services business that you can white label and resell as your own. So if you don't have pen testers, technical testers, right, compliance consulting, you don't have somebody to install that firewall, check out the services course and sign up for that. And then sales execution is amazing. This call, I'm assuming today, right now, this webinar is mostly salespeople. On the far right there under sales execution, you will find a lot more detailed information about some of the nuances about selling security. So it's a great investment of your time. There's about 40 hours of content, and all the PowerPoints, all the Excel spreadsheets are loaded, and you can just download those and watch the video on, have somebody walk you through it, right? So it's very, very helpful. So that's available to Tech Data partners. You'll need to register with your Tech Data account number, and I'm going to show you how to get a hold of that if you don't know about how to do that in just a second. Now, the last piece I want to show you before I turn it over to Q&A is, hey, Chris, Tech Data has a lot of different security products. How do I know which ones are which and who does what, and how do I navigate all these security products? Well, we've set up another website, right, that is interactive. You can see it in the upper right there. It says Tech Data, recon.techdata.com/spy tool, right? So spy tool is solution product inventory tool. And what this website does is it allows you to select our commercial vendors, our public sector vendors, or even our analytics vendors by country. So US audience maybe today, but if you are dialing into this webinar from Canada, you would select Canada. And you could choose, of course, to see, if you click on Centrify or Carbonite, you would see all of their products and all the categories and subcategories. It says subcategories if you were on the actual website. This is free, right? It's free worldwide. You could click on a vendor and see what they offer. But what's really nice is if you start at the other end, which is, hey, what does Tech Data offer for identity and access management solutions? Or I just met with a partner and they say, we really got to secure our cloud security, right? And so you might click on cloud security. What happens is the website will go back and shortlist those vendors and then show you all the products. And then when you click the report button, you'll get a description of the product, a link to that manufacturer's website, and the 800 number, phone number and email of the team at Tech Data that can help you solution that, right? Build a quote, get you what you need. So very, very powerful. Our partners and resellers love this because it helps to navigate our portfolio. The other thing that's on there is out of view here is the professional services button. So under categories, click on professional services, and you'll be presented with all of the professional services that Tech Data can help to help you drive your business. So those are the two websites I wanted to show. Now, I've said a lot. I've been talking real fast, trying to get it all fit in here. And maybe you didn't take the best notes and you're maybe looking for this PowerPoint or additional support and information. This is how you reach my team. I have a team of security agnostic business development managers that are designed to help partners with all of this. And they are available at securityservices.techdata.com. You can even call them on the phone. And if you're interested in a version of what I just described, we'll send you the link for this recording, but there's also a couple of links from one of my consultants who offers kind of a different version of this same content. So with that, I'll wrap it up. I'll thank you for your time. I calculate we have about 10 minutes to take some questions. And so maybe I'll turn it over to you, Odessa, to help me get through those.
Absolutely. Thanks for the great content. So we have a lot of questions that came through both our chat and the Q&A box. So some of them Steve and I have already answered on the side. So I will start with those that we haven't had the opportunity to address.
Okay.
So we have a question regarding call scripts. Do
Yeah.
you start with data breach examples?
Starting with data breach examples. So, let's imagine, it depends on the great question, by the way. It depends on the context with which you're reaching out to your prospect, right? Is this a pre-existing relationship or is it a cold call effectively? Starting out with a data breach for a similar type business might be a little rough. What I would do and what I like to do is have some softball questions first. Hey, I wanted to talk to you for a few minutes about your understanding of your own security environment. Is it of concern to you? Because I think we've got some solutions that might be of interest to you. Something a little softer. So what you want to do though, and in that call script, I did weave in a section that said, be prepared to talk about data breaches that are similar to the prospect that you're calling. Let's say you're an SMB and you're calling a dry cleaners that's got 10 locations, right? You might do a search for data breach dry cleaners and just see what pops up. It could be worldwide, in Canada, Europe, right? Did you know that dry cleaners got hacked through their HVAC system and their air conditioning system? And because of that, it was connected to an IP network, their Ethernet, and they got into, whatever, their banking credentials. So it's that kind of story that lends itself to credibility. That's what you're going for, is credibility. Because then they'll be like, oh, wow, well, I'm a dry cleaners too, and if it can happen to them, it can happen to me. So, anyways, hopefully that helps.
Next question. Thank you, Chris. Are there special tools or techniques for customers who are cloud skeptics because of security?
Special tools and my dog's about to go off.
And while Chris is away from his desk, I just want to say that if we run out of time answering the questions, we will make sure to reach out to those who posted the questions to provide you the answers after the event, if we don't get to them today.
Perfect. All right. Can you repeat the question? Sorry about that.
Yeah. Are there special tools or techniques for customers who are cloud skeptics because of security?
Yes, there are tools and techniques. So one of the common concepts, I'll say two things about cloud security, and I'm assuming cloud skeptics are, I don't want to move my stuff to the cloud because I feel it's insecure. And that has been kind of a common theme for 10 years now, right? But there is major investments in the last 10 years in terms of cloud security. And generally, I would say two things about cloud security. One is all cloud companies provide security for their infrastructure up to the operating system. So they ensure, networking and storage and operating system, in some cases, the virtual machine layer is secure. Any data that lives on top of that, any applications that live on top of that is up to the business owner, right? And so there are secure cloud offers. So for top of mind is Fortinet. Fortinet has a cloud fabric security architecture that's built for many of the popular platforms. It's already native. Amazon and Microsoft are both building security controls for what's beyond their responsibility. So these become clickable, turn it on options that you would pay for as part of your workloads. You can also implement what's called CASB. And CASB, another four-letter acronym, right? CASB stands for Cloud Access Security Broker. And what it means is if I'm a company and I've got Google, Amazon, and IBM Cloud, for example, and I've got different workloads in each of those three, you want to have kind of a security broker that's the man in the middle that's assuring that the security controls and access to those workloads are uniform and policies are uniformly applied. Now, there are multiple CASB vendors out there, and on the spy tool, you just click on cloud security and you'll be presented with those. So it's a bit of tools, it's a bit of engineering, but there's definitely a solution around that. And there's tons of videos on YouTube about some of the fundamentals around cloud security that, if you walk into a client, just do cloud security fundamentals on YouTube and you will, I call it the parking lot PhD when I was directly selling. You freshen up on it right before you go in there. You drop some knowledge bombs on them, and they haven't had the time to do that, and so you look like a genius. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you, Chris. And I think we have time for one more question. And this is regarding the maturity assessment.
Mhm.
So someone said, we already offer an assessment. How would this be different?
It wouldn't. The point is that an assessment is what is the tip of the spear. Now, there's a lot of different people on this call, quite a few different folks. And so some of the attendees today might not have the ability to do a security assessment. Um, Now, security assessments, as I mentioned before, come in two flavors: conversations about security controls, which, that no one's logging into anything, and then technical assessments where, you've got ethical hackers, trying to either break in, discover vulnerabilities, or actually penetrate the environment. Those are fee-based typically because they involve, expensive resources and people, expensive tools, right? Hours, billable situations. But a lightweight conversation around taking inventory of a prospective client's security controls and policies that they may or may not have is a lightweight way to kind of take it to the next level, beyond kind of, the abstract, right? Actually getting into it. So if you already have that out there, don't feel like you need to rely on tech data to do it. All I'm recommending is that you do it, because one of the things that comes out of that is this idea of a report, which shows things are doing great and things they are not doing great, which then becomes a sales guide for salespeople. So hopefully that helps. Any more questions? Or I've got 2 minutes. Should we wrap it up?
Yes, something pop up again. So should we book a 15 to 30-minute call with prospects on or current on-hand clients base?
Not sure of the question, but I always say yes when it says to booking, conversations with clients. I don't know if the context is it you as a reseller booking with your client or booking with tech data, for a discovery situation. I'm not quite sure of the context there.
Well, actually, it was a statement, not a question. So it was a confirmation of what you just stated. And on the last couple seconds remaining time, we've seen a bunch of attendees who are asking for a copy of the slide deck.
Yep.
And some of them we've already answered. So we're going to provide a link to the recording, so you can share with the rest of the team. And then you may reach out to securityservices@techdata.com if you need additional materials that we have covered today.
Yep. We can get you whatever you saw today, any sort of abstract. I see lots of links in the video, in the chat box. So I'll go ahead and take the initiative. Hey, I'm sorry I couldn't get all the questions, but if you have any, I think Odessa's taking good notes. We'll try to get back to you. Make sure you put your email on who to reply to, because that doesn't always get captured in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the call. Thank you. I hope this was interesting. We hope to do business with you. Check out our Practice Builder website. Check out our spy tool, and engage with my team. We'd love to help you guys drive security revenues, and hopefully this was beneficial. So enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.